3 weeks into the NFL season, anything catch your eye, good or bad, broadcasters, pregame shows, coverage, anything that you've been watching the games and you've said, oh, that's interesting or that's not working, anything from 3 weeks in terms of NFL broadcasting?
The two networks that paid big money to get established names got what they paid for. Certainly on Monday Night Football.
Absolutely.
And it's just almost a relief to hear Joe and Troy, and you're like, okay, these guys got it. Like I'm not worried. Forget us as TV critics. I think sometimes when you hear an announcer and they don't have quite the Jedi-level mastery of the material, you feel uncomfortable because you're like, oh my gosh, are they going to get something wrong? Is the color analyst going to not really know what to do here?
Yeah.
Those guys, like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And better than fine, in fact. Like it'll be great. And I think the same thing about Al on Amazon. I mean, I think it's that first game, Chiefs Chargers week 2, and Arrowhead Stadium. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I feel great. I feel good now.
It feels like you're watching Sunday Night Football.
Feels like a huge game.
Yeah.
And it feels like a huge game. It feels like Al knows what to do. And it's less a media critic like point than it is just like a football fan point. Like, okay, this feels great. I think
I wrote this, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday in my column, but I think I had Al on right before the season and we had said, the game broadcast will be fine. Like you pointed out with Al and Kirk, the biggest issue for Amazon is getting people to understand the game's on Amazon only. There's no other way to watch it unless you're in a local market, which adds some more confusion to it. I actually think now, though, I looked at it, the schedule for Thursday Night Football might be a problem. They have a great game this week with the Dolphins and Bengals, and I'm glad Al and Kirk get that. That's a good game. But then they have Colts Broncos, which is not great based on what we've seen from them. And then the week after that is Commanders Bears. So I think the scheduling, they get a good game. They get a Ravens Bucks game week 8. So that's a little bit of a nice bounce back. But then after that, it's Eagles Texans. So, and then Falcons Panthers. The schedule is going to be a problem, I think, for Thursday night.
It's a good reminder that all the networks had Thursday Night Football, and they all went, you know what? We don't want this anymore. We just don't want this anymore. And I remember talking to the Monday night guys before the Monday night package got better. Their biggest gripe was not that the game wouldn't be an A game, because a lot of times you're not going to get it, but it would be just a random matchup that would have no storyline to it.
Right.
When you say Eagles Texans, like, what are you doing there?
Exactly.
I mean, the Eagles might be great this year, so that's cool, but like,
right.
There's just no storytelling to that game at all.
Right.
That's 100%. Not a thing.
Yeah.
It's like Monday Night Football. Remember a couple years ago when the schedule was still really bad, they'd get the Steelers. Oh, that's good. Steelers a big audience, but it'd be Steelers Jaguars and be like, what do we do with this?
Yeah.
Not division. It's just not there's nothing here,
Yeah. I was surprised because the rating for the opening game on Amazon, Chiefs Chargers, was 13 million. And then the next week for Steelers Browns was 11 million. And I didn't think the drop would be that much, only because now you have one terrible quarterback in Trubisky and one mediocre quarterback in Brissett, which is a big fall off from Mahomes and Herbert, obviously. But I thought the Browns and Steelers, those markets, those fans, would not have as big a drop off because nobody cares about the Chargers across the country and they have no fan base in week 1, but they still lost 2 million viewers. And I don't know if it's because, the quality of the game, the quality of the quarterbacks. I thought it was interesting that they would drop 2 million from week 2 to week 3, which the first week was week 2.
Or is it, something we've seen with TV shows forever where people are super curious to tune in week 1 because it's new and it's Amazon and it's different, something they haven't experienced. And then week 2, it's a football game. And they're sort of judging by the quality of the game.
I think this week is fascinating in terms of a rating for Amazon because they have good team, good quarterbacks, Burrow, Tua, Dolphins 3-0.
Surprisingly good matchup. This is a better game than it looked like in the preseason.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned, the thing I want to mention about Buck and Aikman, since you mentioned them first, I feel like Troy it's a weird case with Troy because he's been doing this for 20 years and I feel like he gets better.
Yes.
I feel like he gets better. I say this all the time. He's the only analyst who will pull out the refs. No analyst does that at all. They all play that game where they go, well, I don't know about that call. I'm not sure what he saw there. Troy's just like, that's a bad call. Like, yeah, can you just say it that way, please?
I have a theory that a couple of things happened. One, that Tony Romo happened, and the salaries between number one broadcasters got totally out of whack. But the other thing that somebody suggested to me one time is like they started doing Thursday Night Football, and Joe and Troy on Thursday Night Football, it was looser. It was almost like a celebrity roast because, again, the games were often kind of crappy. And it was like, okay, let's have some fun here. And actually, let's also just like call out refs, call out quarterbacks who stink.
Yeah.
And he has changed a lot. And I think he's just kind of, I don't know. And I don't know if I understand the psychology of it completely. Like those are two data points I put in there. But I just think, and also, by the way, we should add that Fox tried to get Peyton Manning to call Thursday Night Football and then came back to Troy.
Right.
He's probably somewhere in the psychology of all this. But he's I think, in a lot of ways, a different announcer than he was circa 2017.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're, like, I mean, I said it at the top. I haven't watched the Manningcast because I get locked in on them. And I do, and I say this often, and everyone needs to be reminded, there's so much written about and so much coverage of Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night. But the thing that's always true is the money package is still Sunday at 425. Almost 27 million for an awful Bucks Packers game on Sunday with no offense. Sunday, it all we care about is Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, and it's Sunday 425 is still the sweet spot.
People forget. And, I think I probably do the same thing because, of course, we're thinking of announcers and all this stuff. But, I turned that on Sunday afternoon, 1:25 here in the West Coast. And I was like, man, this is great. This game looks great. Looks great. It's a huge matchup. Two good quarterbacks. Like this is the game I want to watch, As you said, it turned out to be a crappy game. But I was like, this is awesome. This is football. This is NFC. This is football to me.